Spider-Man 3, that's right. We have gotten to that point in this series. Oh boy. This was really the first time you could tell that Sony had gotten their hands way too involved with this project. But hey, at least they didn't do it again. I remember being at the 12 a.m. release of this movie with my friends. We were in this packed theater. Everyone was so excited. Everyone was still riding the high that was Spider-Man 2. And when it ended, I walked out of there with my head hung really low. This was one of the most disappointing movies I've ever seen in my life. Now look, this isn't Batman and Robin bad. It's just a massive letdown. So let's talk in depth about Spider-Man 3. Spoilers, of course. The strange thing for me about Spider-Man 3 is that the things I dislike the most about it actually aren't the story inconsistencies and the script problems, because those are problems where you film your movie and then you watch the final cut and you're like, oh my gosh, all these things I did wrong, I wish I did that differently. Those mistakes happen. My biggest issues with Spider-Man 3 revolve around what I've come to call the WTF moments of Spider-Man 3. These are things that don't make sense that happen throughout this movie. Things that if anyone had just tapped somebody on the shoulder and said, hey, that's stupid, don't do that, they could have avoided it. Like this part, for instance.
There's a change in the silicon mass.
Yeah, it's probably a bird. It'll fly away when we fire it up.
Really? A bird. Penny, why does she have a locket of herself? She gives her dad a locket, and it's a picture of her. What kid carries a locket of themselves? Makes no sense. Then there's this guy. I call him the shovel cop. These two cops are chasing Flint Marko, an escaped convict. They chase him into this truck, this pit of sand. He raises this shovel above his head like he's about to decapitate this escaped convict, or at least impale him with the shovel. What? When Peter gets his black suit, he's just like,
this is something else.
He never once questions it, he just accepts it. It's really cool, I guess. Peter's hair color also changes throughout the movie. It goes from being dyed black to back to brown. Again, with no explanation. I guess the symbiote changes his hair color and also gives him beautiful full eyelashes. And then they actually do this cliche. I mean, the entirety of the Spider-Man films up to this point were fairly serious. Harry can't just vaporize at a coffee shop. And of course, this entire scene, this is without a doubt the low point of the entire Spider-Man trilogy. Harry's butler randomly showing up and going, hey, your father died by his own hand, Harry. I cleaned his wounds. It's so dumb. Why did he wait so long to tell him this? It's such terrible storytelling. While they were filming this scene, they should have known it was a bad omen when the actor couldn't get his line correct.
The blade that pierced his body came from his gilder.
Okay, his glider, that's right, glider.
The blade that pierced his body came from his trailer.
Those are my WTF moments with Spider-Man 3. Things that just don't make any sense. Things that could have been avoided if someone just said, hey, that's really dumb. Don't do that. Let's talk about the major issues with this movie. It's the script. It just can't balance how many characters and subplots are being introduced into this film. In fact, one of the mini screenwriters had originally wanted to turn this into 2 parts, because there's just so much going on. Peter Parker, Harry Osborn, and Mary Jane are once again in the middle of a love triangle drama. Harry is the new Goblin all of a sudden, but then he loses his memory and instantaneously becomes a less compelling character. There's drama going on with MJ's play that she's in. She gets terrible reviews from critics and she gets fired. Sandman has a daughter who's sick and he's trying to figure out how to provide for her. The symbiote shows up on a meteorite and turns Spider-Man into Black Suit Spider-Man. And if there wasn't already enough characters, Gwen Stacy gets thrown into the mix for a second love triangle. And even still, another character, Eddie Brock, gets thrown into this blender, and he eventually turns into Venom for like 5 seconds, because the studio clearly wanted Venom in this movie, and Raimi was like, fine. Plus, Aunt May's involved with this movie, and they try to give another subplot that Sandman is actually Uncle Ben's killer. This movie is a scatterbrained mess. One of the things about this movie that surprised me so much is the CGI. The first 2 films were not over-reliant on it, especially the first film. It was there, but it wasn't used as a crutch. Spider-Man 3 most definitely uses it in that way. There are so many fully rendered digital human faces that take me completely out of the movie. It didn't work for me in 2007. It definitely doesn't work for me today. And the green screen early on in the scene with Harry attacking Peter is unforgettable. unforgivably bad. Now, like I said, this movie isn't Steel starring Shaquille O'Neal. It's not that bad. It's not Fant Four Stick. There are aspects of Spider-Man 3 that I enjoy, so let's talk a little bit about those. The birth of Sandman. The sequence is beautiful. It has a great score by Christopher Young, who replaced Danny Elfman. It's all visual storytelling with no dialogue. I like Peter in the church tower ripping the symbiote off of him. Kirsten Dunst in the entire film. She's the only character that isn't an oblivious idiot, and her performance is very good. Bruce Campbell in the French restaurant scene, his third cameo in the Spider-Man series. He's excellent and really funny. I love this line.
See you, chump.
I like Black Suit Spider-Man versus Sandman in the subway, and I like the bare-knuckle fight between Harry and Peter. Oh, look at little Goblin Jr. You wanna cry? And my favorite part in the entire film is Harry and Peter finally teaming up together at the end. It's really inspirational, it's awesome, it's good to see their friendship back, and it was sort of like your first little hint of what the Avengers could maybe be like, seeing superheroes team up. So look, when I rewatched this movie, I really thought about it, and I took some notes, and I came to a realization. I think I figured out how to fix Spider-Man 3. I thought up a whole new plot. Here it is. Completely remove Sandman and Venom. That would get rid of the black symbiote, the stupid Topher Grace stuff, and the stupider dance stuff. Make the main villain of this movie Harry. The entire series has been building to this anyway. The first film is Harry completely jealous at Peter because Norman is showing Peter gratitude and treating him like the son he never had. The second film, Harry's even more pissed at Peter for not letting him know who Spider-Man is, and of course at the end he realizes that Peter is Spider-Man and discovers all the goblin tech. The whole series has been building to this. Let Harry be the villain of this entire film, and of course, scrub the stupid memory loss idea. Also, don't include Gwen Stacy. There is no reason for another love interest. Just have MJ be there supporting Peter. There doesn't have to be any more relationship drama. We've already had 2 films of that. Quit making Peter so oblivious at everything. He's constantly telling MJ, just get back on the horse, it's gonna be fine. You know, you just have to believe in yourself and blah, blah, blah. It actually makes him a little unlikable that he is so oblivious to everything going on around him. In the finale, rather than Harry and Peter teaming up to fight some random villain that suddenly appeared, have them be in a vicious battle with one another. Towards the end of it, Peter is absolutely railing on Harry. He beats Harry to almost near death, to a pulp. And the only reason he doesn't kill Harry is because MJ stops him at the last second. Everyone collapses, they're staring at each other. Harry is nearly dead. This dark rage is boiling within Peter, and Harry in that moment has a realization of what he's done, and that he was on the wrong side of things. They have a very beautiful, heartfelt conversation, and just when Peter thinks it's going to be okay, Harry takes one of the bombs and blows it up in his face, killing himself. It would be a very sad ending, it would be a tragic ending, but it would be a much better ending and a much better film than what we got, and it would have been much more focused. And the rage that Peter showed in that battle could hint at Venom and Black Suit being in Spider-Man 4, and how that rage could actually affect him in a bad way, and it would have set up that possibility considerably better than him just going around going down, 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 down. And that's how I think they could have fixed Spider-Man 3. Guys, I don't hate this movie. It's not a terrible movie. There are some good things in it. Nevertheless, I'm going to give Spider-Man 3 a C-. Guys, please stay tuned for my review of The Amazing Spider-Man very soon. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.